All right, everyone, welcome back to Good Day Columbia. Last night, Governor Nikki Haley delivering her State of the State address. Plenty of topics were covered, from education to road repairs and government restructuring. Now, taking a look at the Democratic perspective is Antjuan Seawright, a Democratic strategist. Antjuan, thank you for being here this morning, sir.
Thank you, Trendy Fraendy.
Okay, definitely. We have to make sure, we look the part on the air.
Yes, sir.
Governor focused a lot on education. Under her plan, her $177 million plan for education. We talked about more money for poor school districts, enhancing technology. Do you all agree, or do you agree with her plan?
Well, first of all, Fraendy, what I saw last night was what I call political posturing.
Really?
And I think what the people of South Carolina are really looking for is two things from their chief executive, and that's leadership and accountability. And I'm not sure we heard those things last night. What I heard was a political re-election speech. My name is Nikki Haley, Governor Nikki Haley, and I'm running for re-election. There was no real address about what happened in Greenwood, South Carolina with the TB outbreak. There was nothing really addressed as it relates to the DSS, things that happened over at DSS agencies. There was no real address regarding the millions of South Carolinians that had the information hacked. And so it's not a great day in South Carolina. And I do want to take this time to thank my good friend, Representative James Smith, who did the official Democratic response last night.
Okay, well, now the governor did thank several lawmakers, including her opponent,
Sure.
Vincent Shaheen, talked about the government restructuring bill. Now, I do believe this sets the precedent to show that folks are working together.
Well, Senator Shaheen was a leader in this effort. He had been talking about government restructuring for years, and I want to commend him from his long haul, his long effort in trying to really restructure state government in South Carolina. And you brought up education in your introduction, Fraendy. What we did not hear last night is the things that we have been fighting for years.
And what are those?
And we did not hear anything regarding four-year kindergarten in South Carolina. Last year, in the state senate led by Senator Vincent Shaheen, we were able to expand four-year kindergarten, $26 million in the state of South Carolina.
But wouldn't that fall under her plan?
Well, it didn't. She did not talk about four-year kindergarten. She didn't talk about things like teacher pay. If we catch them early, Fraendy, we'll have a chance for kids succeeding later. We need quality teachers in our classroom. We didn't hear anything about raising teacher pay to the national average so we can recruit and retain good teachers in the state of South Carolina. Those are some of the things I was really looking to hear from the governor last night, and quite frankly, I just didn't hear it.
The governor also talked about the state's unemployment rate.
Sure.
Says that at this point that it's pretty low. And looking back at the years of her tenure, we're talking about Continental Tire, Boeing, Michelin, Amazon, all those companies coming in, helping the unemployment rates. Do you believe that the governor has done all that she can?
Well, what I would tell you, friend, is that if one of my neighbors or my brothers and sisters are unemployed, then we still have a problem here in South Carolina. And one of the things we did not hear from the governor is, what about the job loss record here in the state of South Carolina? What about the jobs that we have not seen come to fruition just yet? I mean, again, all I heard was really a political posturing speech last night.
Her speech
Sure.
wasn't as long
Sure.
as last year. Do you believe that? Well, according to your own admission, you said there's a few things that were missed that she didn't talk
Absolutely.
about. But one thing that she did say was about trying to veto the state gas tax hike. Is that something that everyone you think will be happy about, especially given the economic state of the state?
We have real issues in South Carolina. We can't put in place short-term fixes for long-term problems. According to the State Department of Transportation, we're going to need $1 billion a year to fix our roads and bridges in the state. And the governor talks about funding it with this quote-unquote money tree. We can't do that in South Carolina. We can't depend on excess revenues to really fund our roads and bridges, because infrastructure is so critical to the development in the state of South Carolina. So what I was looking to hear from the governor was a real plan to see how we fund roads and bridges here in South Carolina. We can't put together this idea, this notion that we're going to fund all these initiatives and efforts with a money tree.
Wow. Democratic strategist Antjuan Seawright, sir, thank you so much for coming on the
Trendy
show.
Fraendy.
Absolutely. And for those of you who didn't get a chance to watch the speech, you can log on to our website at WACH.com for that information on the State of the State address. Good Day Columbia is coming back after this, and we also have a Republican perspective. Republican Representative Todd Atwater joins us after the break. Stay with us. Perspective is Lexington Representative Todd Atwater. Representative Atwater, thank you for being here this morning,
Thank
sir.
you for having me.
And before we begin, the Democrats, issued a response from yesterday. And one of the responses, we have that up, and it says that leadership makes public education job one day instead of waiting 4 years. until election time to make our children's future a priority. They're talking about the governor's education plan. Do you believe that's a fair assessment to the governor's education plan, what she talked about? Did she just make it, was it not just a one-day thing, but she took more and more time to try to focus on this?
I think it's a political response. I don't know that it's an honest response.
Okay.
You know, I don't know how the response comes out with the right math. She's been working on it since day one. Jobs, obviously, 4 years ago were #1 priority, and she's knocked that out of the park, no doubt about it. And the education, she announced last year in her State of the State that this was going to be a focus and that she was pulling the right people together, both sides. Nikki Setzler, Democrat, Republicans, everybody she could, teachers, parents, and she's been working on it for a full year. And now she's got a plan that I think is actually workable. And if we'll follow most of it, I think we'll get a lot of great results. And as I predict, I think test scores will be up by the end of her second term.
One of the things that the Democratic strategist said earlier was that the governor did not mention anything about teacher pay raises. Do you believe that's already included in the education plan, or why did you think that wasn't brought up last night?
Well, I think that what has occurred really is the Democrats have come up with a plan. I call it a vote purchase plan. It's not really an education plan. We want our teachers paid very well. The governor and I have talked, and if we simply redefine what classroom instructional services are, you're going to see a lot more money go into the classroom, thus teacher pay raises will be a part of that. She did mention it in her EFA funding formula restructure. She just didn't say, I want to purchase a bunch of votes by paying a bunch of teachers.
Wow. Speaking about that, lawmakers coming together. The governor did thank Vincent Shaheen last night for the government restructuring bill. Kind of sort of sounded like setting the precedent, showing that lawmakers are actually working together. Was that what you got out of that?
Well, Senator Shaheen deserves a lot of credit. He put himself out there. He's been working on it for a long time. I think her recognizing that shows a lot of courage on her part in a political sense. You know, South Carolina's a friendly state. We may disagree philosophically, but we usually get along pretty well. And I think that as long as we keep it clean in what we're doing, and not make it personal, I think it's you'll see more of that going on. And Senator Shaheen's a good guy, and so is the governor. She's just a great person. Speaking
about the state of South Carolina, unemployment rates, governor talked about it being down. And of course, throughout her tenure, we're looking at Continental Tire, we're looking at Boeing, Michelin, all these other jobs that have come into place. Some Democrats feel that not enough is being done because there's still thousands of people without work. Do you believe that's a fair assessment to say that the governor isn't working hard, or she's done what she could do?
I don't know anybody that could work harder. I mean, she gives out her personal cell phone to these CEOs. She knows how to work this. 44,000 jobs. Yeah, there's a long way to go, and she admitted that. Last night she said we have a lot to do. You know, South Carolina's a great state. We're a manufacturing mecca, and yet we have our wonderful beaches and tourism. Those are two things that she's leveraging every single day. But the things that are missing, I think she identified. You know, she said jobs, she said public trust. Infrastructure is going to be huge, and education is something we just simply have to have in order to continue to attract the companies that we have.
Last night, her speech was pretty quick.
Well, I think she's a no-nonsense governor, and she's going to just lay it out there and say, these are the things that we have accomplished. You should do that. You have to reflect, but you also, I think she does a great job of saying, these are the priorities. I'm going to put it together, and I'm going to work with the people that will help me be successful.
Representative Todd Atwater, thank you so much, sir, for being here. We really do appreciate that. Thank you so much. Absolutely.